Hello and welcome to this module on the process for a sanitation project, where we'll be looking at how urban sanitation depends on continuous and reliable services, the roles stakeholders at all levels have to play in ensuring these services are delivered, and the need to engage and motivate stakeholders. As we'll see, investment alone is not enough. Effective urban sanitation depends on a fully functional service chain that captures, removes and hygienically disposes of excreta. The steps in the chain must link up properly and function reliably. The chain can be delivered by sewerage, which has a major infrastructure component, as well as the services needed to keep it running. Other parts of the city will be served by non-sewage sanitation, which has a lower infrastructure component, but requires a wider range of services. Some of the services are provided directly to customers who personally benefit from them. But because adequate sanitation also protects everyone else in the community, these services provide public benefits too. They include the provision of public and household toilets, sewerage connections, and the removal of fecal sludge from latrines and septic tanks. Other services, like sewerage, fecal sludge treatment, drainage and solid waste disposal, are shared publicly and have no direct interface with customers. Providing them requires the design and construction of infrastructure, and then its operation and maintenance, usually by a different entity. There are three main categories of services. Services provided directly to customers, communally provided public services, and the development of the major infrastructure used by the public services. All of these services could be provided by either the public or private sector. But because they consist of many small jobs, it's often more practical for the customer-facing services to be provided by the private sector. At the other end of the scale, the provision of big infrastructure requires major upfront investments with long payback periods, and this is often undertaken by the public sector. Somewhere in between, public sanitation services are increasingly provided through public-private partnerships. However, none of these services can be provided in isolation. Where services interface directly with customers, community engagement is vital to ensure that the right services are provided and that they are used. Local government has a crucial role in coordinating sanitation with related urban management functions and in enforcing standards. It needs to ensure that effective sanitation service providers are in place and monitor outcomes. National or state-level government provides the overall enabling environment by setting the policy, legislative and regulatory frameworks, providing funding, and ensuring there are adequate human resources and technical capacity. A well-run, financially stable utility is well placed to provide the services and engage with customers. This could also help to avoid gaps in service delivery. However, a weak utility will have difficulties expanding to take on non-sewage sanitation. So what does all this mean for delivering citywide inclusive sanitation? Simply providing the infrastructure isn't enough. A wide range of service providers is also needed. And for them to work effectively, an enabling environment at community, local government and national level needs to be in place. This will require engaging with a large number of diverse stakeholders and ensuring their actions are properly synchronized and coordinated. Before addressing how to do that, let's take a look at the process of delivering citywide inclusive sanitation. Central to this process at every stage is stakeholder dialogue, to make sure that they all understand and agree with the decisions made. Without this buy-in, the sanitation systems developed will be unsustainable. Now we'll go on to look at the types of stakeholder engagement model needed as this process unfolds. At the pre-concept phase, it's important to get senior decision-makers on board. Sanitation tends to be given a low priority, so generating enthusiasm at this stage will avoid major delays later. A useful approach to this is to inform and educate decision-makers about the realities of sanitation in their situation, and the gains that can be made by improving it. A fecal waste flow diagram, or SFD, is often a good place to start. Because sanitation involves many diverse stakeholders, it's also useful to set up an interdisciplinary team. This establishes lines of communication with key actors and improves coordination. With the decision taken to proceed, scoping and data collection can begin. It's important to involve staff from responsible entities such as local government and utilities to improve their understanding of the situation so they'll be able to manage it more effectively once the interventions are implemented. This can be reinforced by training sessions or study visits. Bringing in more stakeholders will also create momentum and help build a coalition for change. At the project concept stage, it's vital to work closely with all the stakeholders to develop the technical and non-technical options and an implementation timeline they're comfortable with. Without this, the program won't be feasible or sustainable. A further dimension is to ensure that sanitation plans are coordinated with water supply, drainage, solid waste, and land use control. These all have a profound influence on the choice of sanitation options. Going into the design phase, it's important to continue involving the staff who'll go on to manage the systems being designed. Now it's the time to start building service provider capacity and the right enabling environment. These activities typically take a long time and should be started before the construction of new facilities. Failure to do so creates a high risk that the facilities will not be adequately managed and break down almost as soon as they're handed over. Work on the enabling environment will probably be needed at various levels. At the higher level, policy may have to be made or revised, and institutions realigned to deal with the broad scope of inclusive urban sanitation. This broad scope will almost certainly give rise to the need for new financing arrangements. Bylaws and regulatory capacity may need to be developed, and public-private partnership arrangements worked out. In summary, urban sanitation depends on the continuous, coordinated and reliable provision of all the different services that make up the sanitation service chain. Services may be provided by both the public and the private sector or public-private partnership arrangements. For the services to be provided, the right enabling environment is needed at community, city and national or state level. Building service provider capacity and developing the enabling environment requires close engagement with the stakeholders throughout the development of an urban sanitation program or project. Thank you for watching.